So to start off, guys, who here has ever taken a lesson in money, like a real course or lesson in money? Now I guess that there is nearly no one. Now people are not taught about money, so why do we go to school to get a job and not know anything about money? So one lesson that might seem controversial but absolutely shatters your preconceived ideas about money is that the rich don't work for money. Now this lesson was taught to us by the entrepreneur Robert Kiyosaki, famously known to be the author as one of the top business books of our time, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So let's break down the principle. Now, the rich don't work for money. Now, it may seem like it doesn't make any sense, but we are told that when we go to school, we go to university to get a job, that's the supposed purpose of life, to be essentially a slave to money. So let's challenge your belief system. So when you think about working for money, what do you think about? Now, I guess a lot of people equate their time to money, how many hours they worked in a week. And we know that many people are told that they're going to go to university, secure a high paying job, but a lot of students don't end up with the promised things that university promises. You see, the thing is, guys, our school system hasn't changed for a very long time, but the world has changed drastically. Just 18 years ago, there was no such thing as the iPhone or even Facebook, but it seems like they've been around forever, when in reality they've only been around for only 20 years. Look how much has changed since the year 2000, but our schools are teaching more or less the same system since the 1960s, the system of going to school and getting a job. But the reality is, in today's society, you don't have to do that. Now, the rich don't work for money. So in this video, what we're going to be covering is what you should be working for. So let's teach a principle that is covered in Rich Dad Poor Dad that surprisingly not a lot of people know about, is the difference between income and expenses, and assets and liabilities. So the majority of people go to school to get a job and they have a job as their income. However, the rich don't focus on a job as income, guys. What the rich do focus on is what we call assets. Now, an asset is something that pays you, like a business, property, real estate, or paper such as stocks and bonds. But the thing is, the only thing that people with jobs normally concentrate on as an asset is their pension. They're essentially saving up for a pension to retire. They're not making money for them to retire. They're just essentially saving it. And the last one is essentially commodities such as things as gold, silver, water, land, actual tangible assets. And with the whole world changing, we have new commodities again, such as Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now you may be thinking, what is the difference between stocks and commodities? Now when you buy a stock, you are buying ownership of a company. So let's say BP, the petrol company. Now when you buy a commodity, you are purchasing the actual product, so such as oil. So instead of buying stocks into BP as a company, you can actually purchase the physical oil barrels. Then we have property and real estate. Now many people think that you have to have a lot of cash sitting around to purchase property, where in reality that's far from the truth, and we will be covering this in another video. There are many ways where you can purchase property without having any cash, such as using debt, outside investors, joint ventures. Then obviously you have businesses, so you provide a product or service to the world with the goal of making a profit. So like Apple, they sell technology products with the goal of making a profit. Now you're probably thinking, what's the point of us showing you this, guys? Now what Kiyosaki says is that you don't want to work for a paycheck. You want what we call cash flow from your assets that you don't have to pay loads of tax on like a traditional normal job to be your income. So examples of liabilities are things that take money out of your pocket, like loans, credit cards, things such as student debt. Now one thing that university and professors don't tell you about student loans, guys, is that student debt is one of the worst types of debt. Reason why is because you can't even declare bankruptcy out of. Now another liability that people seem to not realize is that they think as an asset is a house. Now a house that you live in is a liability because it goes into the expenses section. Even if you rent, it is still an expense. Now obviously I'm not saying that you can't ever buy a house, but there is a difference between buying a house to live in and buying a house to rent or sell. Then obviously you will have a car, and again, which is a liability because it's an expense. So the problem with most young people, and people in general actually, is that they go to school, they get a job, they have student loan debt, then they try to get a house, they try to get a car, and things such as credit card debt and purchase stuff on finance, and all they're trying to do is just save up to retire. This fixed mindset prevents them from move into the asset section to invest into assets. The only thing that people may do, like I've said previously, is just save up for a pension. But if you look at the data and evidence, the whole pension scheme is essentially broken. So when Kiyosaki says that the rich don't work for money, it means that they don't rely on a paycheck from an employer or the government. You want to be free from that. Now the reason why a lot of people may say, oh, the rich are very greedy, is because of the idea is that the rich don't pay taxes. And it is true, the rich pay very little taxes in comparison to normal working people. It's said that Warren Buffett, one of the most richest humans in the world, pays less taxes than his secretary. Now why is that? Is it because they have some sort of scheme and offshore bank account in the Cayman Islands? Maybe. But the biggest reason why a lot of rich people don't pay much in taxes is because the government gives them what we call tax breaks. Now why would the government give them tax breaks? Well, it's because they are investing into the economy. When you buy stocks in a company, when you buy properties, when you buy commodities, when you set up a business, it is all good for the country's economy. That's why the government rewards the people that invest into assets with tax breaks and low rates. Companies and businesses will get tax breaks and lower rates of tax because they are providing jobs for people, which again is good for the economy. That's why the government rewards them. So if you have a job, guys, you will pay tax. But if you create jobs, you will get tax breaks because the employees of your company will be paying the tax. That's why when a big company wants to move headquarters, for example, why do you think governments beg them to their country or city? It's because they will bring in more employees, and more employees means more tax for the country's government. So now with all this information, you may start to be thinking and challenging your beliefs. So the whole idea that the rich don't work for money is that you don't want to rely on a paycheck. So what you want to do is accumulate assets so that you have cash flow. That's where the phrase rich people make money work for them or making money while you sleep. It's all about accumulating assets. Now in the ideal world, you want to be in a position where you have all the money to invest into assets straight away. But most cases, that's not the case. And that's fine. We're not saying to never get a job. We're not saying to never get a house. We're not saying to never get a car. But what we are saying is that you want to concentrate on investing and accumulating assets in order to have cash flow as your income. That's why the best companies in the world encourage their employees to become entrepreneurs and investors. So with taxes increasing and inflation increasing, it's not the wisest thing to work for money, to work for a paycheck. Now remember guys, the rich don't work for money. The money works for them.